Jeff, I'm not asking this to be to pick a fight. I'm trying to learn and understand. So help me understand.
Uh-oh, here we go.
When you said, Hulk had good and bad feelings about TNA, I mean this respectfully. Why would he hold that against you? Wouldn't it have been Dixie at that point? Like we've talked about enough on the show that yes, you had ownership, but you were a minority owner. So kind of what Dixie says goes. And the timeline of all that, it's almost like you're sort of getting pieced out when Hogan and Bischoff are coming in anyway. Why would he feel weird about you with regard to TNA at all? Or are you talking about the first rendezvous with the whole Japanese angle?
No, with all due respect, I think, look, he's got ears just like I do. And he was trained in the school of professional wrestling that at the end of the day, you're working for an audience of one. When he worked for Louis Tillett, he worked for Louis Tillett. When he worked for a Fuller in Alabama, he worked for Fuller. When he worked for Jerry Jarrett, he worked for Jerry Jarrett, and so on and so on. When he worked for Inoki and Vern and Vince Sr. and Vince Jr., and I'll call it, the suits at AOL Time Warner, whatever it may be. When he came into TNA, obviously he was at a completely different stature and he knew it. Look, I think one of Hogan's most successful traits he had was reading the room and understanding it. This is my opinion, but I believe we're kind of business animals, Conrad, and I think you can relate to this. A lot of things are said by the unspoken words. I think Dixie hired him under a set of circumstances. I think in Dixie's mindset was Jeff and his team have gotten all this credit. I hadn't got any credit. We did this 1 hour, 2 hours, blah, 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 and got it to a certain level. And I get it. She wanted to prove to her father that she could do this. So if Jeff went left, I'm going to go right. And I think Hogan working for the audience of one, which would have been his boss, Dixie, I'm going to make some decisions. And I'll never forget at WWE when Hogan looked at me kind of and said, "Yeah, man, I don't know what's going to, I'm happy for you." I think it was after, when would that have been? Hall of Fame next year. I'd seen him backstage at some kind of event. And he took kind of a shot of, yeah, maybe there is another match in me because I damn sure don't want it to end on that TNA crap. And I just thought to myself, bite my lip. You created that TNA crap. And I don't want to go down that road because if there's any one person that I believe could have radically changed the course of TNA's direction in a very positive way, I think if he would have put his foot down to Dixie on a couple of certain instances, I think things would have been really different. But hey, she was paying him not good money, but great money for the amount of work. And I really believe that as time went on and the results that he got and just kind of how things went and the way it ended, you don't have to tell him or Eric. They didn't have a successful run. And I don't want this podcast to kind of head down.
Jeff, let me ask you about this because I'm fascinated. We're getting down this rabbit hole, and I'm going to keep it positive here too. I want to pivot to kind of something else, but when we're talking about you and TNA, like it feels like to me, again, I'm trying to imagine that I'm the real life Terry Bollea saying to you, "Hey, maybe there is one more match in me. I don't want it to end on that TNA crap." I almost wonder, was he saying that to you? This is years after you're both out of TNA, by the way.
Yes.
That in my head, I almost feel like he would have been saying that to try to endear himself to you because he knows it didn't come to a beautiful end for you either.
But
And in the end, it was an ugly mess with Dixie. But I'm wondering when you hear sort of TNA slander, since it was your baby, even if it didn't wind up being your baby forever, do you still have that ownership? Because you referenced it as a shot. And the way I heard it, I think if I was you, and I'm not, so I don't have your shared experience, but I would have thought, oh, he's trying to butter me up about how, Dixie screwed us both, or whatever our perception may be. But you took it as, oh, he's shitting on my baby. I want to hear you talk about that.
So at the end of the day, and this is where, oh, Conrad, you've heard me say it. I try to impress upon my kids or anybody I come in contact with. I mean this. If you're listening to this podcast, and if there's anything that you ever take away from a podcast in your personal life, it would be in all of your relationships, over communicate over and over. Me and him never had that opportunity to discuss. There is no doubt in my mind that he knew that 3 months, maybe 1 month, that him and not even Eric, because Eric kind of came along later. He was put in, he was the wrestling guy that took Jeff's place. There's no doubt in my mind. He knew that. Did we ever discuss it? No, but that was exactly, they leaned on him for wrestling decisions. They leaned on him for talent decisions. They leaned on him for vision decisions. Let's take the show on the road. Let's do this, do that. I think all of that. And I think, and maybe I may be wrong because we didn't over communicate and have this conversation. I took it as, hey man, that's the softest I'm going to get. The TNA, my TNA run, because you got to look at his success and his track record. Conrad, he was successful in Alabama, in Tennessee, in AWA, in New Japan, in obviously WWF, in WCW. Like his track record, Midas. Like, I don't think there really is a talent that had the back to back, not base hits, not home runs, grand slams, over. So when he got into TNA and the level that was at, it didn't take long. And so I think that was his way of, hey man, didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Maybe I'm going to get another shot. And so I don't think he took it at me. I think he was taking it at TNA, and maybe it was at Dixie, probably, as you sit here and process it through, taking a shot at her. I know in other conversations, he clearly saw Dixie's inability to grasp what the core of our business was about. There's no doubt. I mean, yeah, we had those conversations for sure. And I don't want to get negative here, Connie, but that, you kind of got in there and pried in there. That's how I think he looked at, man, I'm the Midas touch man. And that was some shit because it just ended and it ended bad too.
Don't we all love summer vacation, relaxing, laying out by the pool, barbecues, hitting the beach, doing, well, nothing? Well, how about a summer vacation from your house payments? With SaveWithConrad.com, you can do just that. Reduce your monthly payments by making the equity you built up in your home work for you. You can roll together those high interest rate credit cards into one lower monthly payment and perhaps access some of that newfound equity to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. And how about this? You get to skip your next 2 house payments. That's right. You won't have to make your June or your July house payment. You're done until August 1st. Go right now to SaveWithConrad.com. Let my team run the numbers for you for free. There's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. And did I mention we're offering a 3-year guarantee right now? That's right. That means if at any point interest rates improve over the next 3 years, you get a free refi. That's right. No new lender fees from us. So you get to save money now without wasting money later when the rates improve on a whole second set of closing costs. Why not go to SaveWithConrad.com and get a guarantee? Save money now and save money later with your friend in the mortgage business. That's me, Conrad Thompson at SaveWithConrad.com. Shoot me an email at Conrad@SaveWithConrad.com. Give us a call at 888-425-0105. Or get yourself a quick quote, even talk to a live person right now at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. Let's take a summer vacation from house payments at SaveWithConrad.com.